Recording is started, Mathaji.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mathaji to enlighten us on Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrta. So today is the 35th session of Book 2. So Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much Mataji for giving your valuable association and time. Now I would like to hand over the call to you Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pavitra Madhavi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna to everyone who joined and chanted so beautifully. Mataji, was the light successful, Mataji? Yes, thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much for your services. Thank you, Vinita Mataji. So we are continuing our study of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrta.
Mathaji, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mataji. So we are continuing our study of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrta. This is book 2 and session number 35, and we have entered the final chapter of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrta book 2. It's been a very long journey. We had about 23 sessions for book 1, and then this is the 35th session of book 2. We still have many more sessions to go. Hopefully we should be finishing it soon. And we are in the final chapter, so that's good news. We are in the final chapter of the book 2 of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrta, that is titled Jagadananda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavari Paschayate Deshatharine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All glories to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the author of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrta. So, in the previous few sessions, we had the great fortune of hearing from Sarupa, and how we saw how Sarupa described the glories and wonders of Goloka Vrindavan, the different pastimes that happen in Goloka Vrindavan, and how the residents of Goloka Vrindavan are always immersed in the thoughts of Krishna. So now we have entered the final chapter, and we still have to accompany the Mathura Brahmana who had traveled all the way from Pragjyotishpur to Mathura to Vrindavan to Keshighat to hear from Sarupa about the glories of Goloka Vrindavan. So he still has to go back to Goloka Vrindavan. So we all have to accompany this Mathura Brahman to Goloka Vrindavan. So that is what we are going to do in this chapter. So Sarupa, he continued telling his story. Sarupa is none other than Gopakumar, and he was telling his story to the Brahmana. And this Sarupa, he continued to tell his story. He looked at the Brahmana and he declared, he told, "O Brahmana, you have heard from me all this while, all these details, all these descriptions of Goloka Vrindavan. Now you think very carefully for yourself and you decide what is the highest goal of life and what is the way to achieve it." So, my dear Brahman, you asked me earlier, what is the topmost goal that one has to search out for? Many people are saying many things about different goals of life. What is the means of achieving all these goals? And really, what is the topmost goal that one needs to achieve and how one must achieve it? You had asked me all these questions. So I have told you my story. I've told you the experiences in the spiritual world. Now you understand my dear Brahmin, for yourself that just like me, actually, you have achieved your goal by the mercy of Goddess Uma Devi. She gave you a lot of mercy and you came here, and now I can see that you are almost there. I have revealed all confidential matters to you. Actually, the special ecstasies that one feels when one relishes the service to the lotus feet of the Lord, it should be private. It should be kept in one's heart. One should feel very ashamed and shy to reveal these feelings openly. But however, Krishna, very mercifully, he entered my heart and brought out these topics through my mouth. It was simply forced out of my mouth. And while observing you, as you were listening to all these details, I could see that you have developed a lot of faith in these topics as I was narrating them. So I can understand, based on the gestures of what you are showing, that you have definitely developed a lot of faith and you are almost there. You have almost reached perfection. Early this morning, actually it was Srimati Radhika Devi who actually told me, Sarupa, go down and meet this Brahmin from Mathura. She told me that you would be coming to this grove, and therefore at this point I was waiting for you. I was sent down personally by her, and I've been waiting for you because I wanted to reveal all this to you. Then Sarupa said, Radhika, she told me that the first thing I must do in the morning is to come and enlighten you with all good instructions and somehow console you to attain Krishna's grace. Therefore, just to carry out this assignment that was given by Srimati Radhika, I left home very early in the morning. I knew Krishna would be going out to the forest with his friends and I should be accompanying him. But I decided to leave that service of accompanying Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan to carry out Srimati Radhika's order on my head, because Srimati Radhika's order is the most important thing for me. I don't even mind missing Krishna's company for one day, but I thought her order is extremely important and that is what will give happiness to Krishna and Radha. So therefore, I came down here so that I could talk to you. Now, Sarupa was keenly watching the Brahmana and saw that he had not yet completely awakened his pure love. He could understand he was almost there, but pure love was not completely awakened for the Brahmana. So Sarupa, very lovingly, he put his hand on the head of the Brahmana so that by the mercy of Sarupa, who is the spiritual master of this Brahman, everything became manifest for the Brahman at once. So everything became manifest by the mercy of Swarupa, so much so that the Brahmin felt that he had experienced each and everything himself. This is the association of a great certainty person. By Swarupa's mercy, this Brahmana, he achieved perfect realization and he could understand his eternal identity. Usually, very few people, they attain the topmost perfection. I mean, very few people are qualified enough to attain the topmost perfection. To attain love of God, it is very, very rare. But however, how could this Brahmin achieve it so quickly? The answer is because he was in contact with a very, very powerful saint who had directly come from the spiritual world. So association of a pure devotee means one can attain topmost perfection very, very easily. And this is reiterated throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, throughout the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, in every instance, in every story, in every conversation, you will see that this point is being driven again and again. It is only by the mercy and association of a pure devotee that one can actually reach the topmost goal. In the pages of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrta, as we are reading in this chapter, for almost 25 pages, Srila Sanatana Goswami, he stops at this point and he explains the concept of association of a pure devotee. So therefore, today, in our today's session, we also have to stop and we have to respect those words of Srila Sanatana Goswami, and we have to go through these important verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam that glorifies the association of a devotee and learn how this association of a pure devotee can bestow great benefit to us. So we will be going through several verses. Now these are all, I'll be quoting these verses, and where, as and when there is explanation needed, we will try to explain them, but it is going to be a a class of different collection of verses from Srimad Bhagavatam that talks about devotee association and how it is indeed the most powerful means of awakening love of God. So we will go through that in great detail because Sanatana Goswami has chosen to do it. So we will also respect that and continue to quote all these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam as much as possible. I'll not be quoting each and every verse, but what I will try to do is among the 25 pages that he has quoted, I will just pick some of them and I'll try to quote all of them, and then we'll continue our story and we'll see if the Mathura Brahmins saw Krishna face to face. So till there we will see today. So let's go into the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, verse number 55, Devahuti, who's the mother of Kapila, who's an incarnation of the Lord, she remarks, she says, association for sense gratification is certainly the path to bondage, but the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. So therefore, we see that even when we are doing our day-to-day activities, when we take the association of a devotee helps us purify the activities in the service of the Lord, and therefore the same activities can lead to the path of liberation. By serving the lotus feet of a spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who's the unchangeable, and he is the enemy of the Madhu demon who vanquishes one's material distresses. This was spoken by Vidura to Maitreya Muni. Now, in the third canto, we see that there was a conversation between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. So Vidura spoke the statement in the presence of his spiritual master, Maitreya Muni, who was a Siksha Guru. So he was telling Maitreya Muni, by your association, I'm able to actually destroy all my material distresses, and I'm able to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the Supreme Lord. So it's a very beautiful statement. And even in today's class, we saw the mention of the example of a circuit, how there is an input and there is an output in an electrical circuit. So the circuit of the spiritual master is that which enables the input of knowledge to become the output of bhakti. So therefore, without the circuit of the spiritual master, or without the circuit of an association of a saintly person, it is very, very hard for us to actually transform all the knowledge that we have understood about Krishna to real devotional service. So Maitreya Muni was being glorified at this point by Vidura, saying that it is only by your association I've really understood this unchangeable Lord, because he's called as Kutastha, meaning he's inconceivable. It is very difficult to understand his activities. So it is certainly very difficult to understand his activities, but by your mercy, I should be able to understand his activities. Now, another meaning of Kutastha is that one who's situated on top of a Kuta. And specifically, a very Rasic commentary is given that Krishna is situated on top of the Govardhan hill where Annakuta ceremony is performed. So therefore, when one becomes a sincere servant of this Kutastha, one's devotional attitude can be nicely awakened, and one can enjoy the never-ending festival of Prema. So like that, the Lord is described as Kutastha. And Vidura, he glorifies Maitreya Muni for giving him this opportunity to transform his knowledge into pure devotional service. Then Lord Kapila, who's the incarnation of the Lord, he was talking to his mother Devahuti as he was describing to her about the association of pure devotees. So Kapila Dev, he told his mother, Satam prasangan mama virya samvido Bhavanti hiratkarnasrasayana kata Tajoshanadashu apavargavartmani Shraddharatir bhakti anukramishyati. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating knowledge of the Lord's activities, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and one's attraction becomes fixed. The real devotion and devotional service then begins. So Lord Kapila, he mentions that there are 3 gradual symptoms of development of prema. First of all, one must have firm shraddha, or firm conviction. One must have firm conviction. And then there is love for the Lord, which is rati, and there is unwavering dedication to his service, which is bhakti. Now, if you see this verse, it doesn't mean that these symptoms manifest one after the other, meaning that first there is shraddha, then there is rati, and then there is bhakti. Rather, we should understand that first a new devotee, he acquires a little faith, and then he takes up the process of bhakti by hearing, chanting, and serving, and later he develops rati, which is on a platform of spontaneous devotional service, and therefore rati becomes the fruit of bhakti. So that is how this concept should be understood. But bhakti itself is there throughout, meaning it is also the process and it is also the goal. So we should understand that initially there is faith, and then one develops a little bit, one practices bhakti through Shravanam Kirtanam, but then that bhakti, it fructifies so much that one develops love of God. But the bhakti principle is there throughout, both when that person is performing devotional service through Vaidhi Bhakti, as well as when he has developed spontaneous love of God. So with the same concept in mind, we see Dhruva Maharaj, again, he prays in the Srimad Bhagavatam when he sees Lord Vishnu face to face. Dhruva Maharaj says, "O unlimited God, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly, as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of their devotional service, and by process of the devotional service that I learned from these devotees, I should also be able to cross the nascent ocean of material existence, which is filled with waves of blazing fire-like danger. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes, which are eternally existent, if I have association of devotees." So it is devotion to the Supreme Lord which will actually intoxicate Dhruva Maharaj and empower him to cross this ocean of samsara through the association of devotees. Just like drunkards, they are mainly interested in the taste of the liquor, but they have only superficial taste in the secondary effects of alcohol. Like I say, alcohol has several secondary effects, like it has the ease of removing the discomfort from cold weather, right? So when a person drinks, he's able to increase the heat in his body, and the discomfort that he's feeling from a cold weather is removed as a secondary effect. So the primary thing is that he's interested in the taste of the liquor, but then the secondary effect is that he's also able to adjust his body heat in such a way that he doesn't feel very cold. So in the similar way, devotees who have a taste for drinking the nectar of Bhagavad Bhakti, they consider that relishing these, this elixir forever is their principal goal. So they accept only things that are, they accept the secondary things like liberation and other things or other boons to be only secondary. So this comes, they understand that tasting devotional service is the primary goal, whereas other things like material boons or getting impersonal liberation, all these are secondary effects. So all this realization comes only when one is associated with a pure devotee who can clearly show him what is the main goal and what is the secondary goal. So similarly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Shiva also, he gives us opinion on similar lines. He says, if one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, one is no longer subject to the attraction of the results of karma and jnana. What interest then can he have in the material benedictions of demigods who are subject to the laws of birth and death? My dear Lord, your lotus feet is the cause of all auspicious things and the destroyer of all contamination and sin. I therefore beg your Lordship to bless me with the association of your devotees who are completely purified by worshipping your lotus feet and who are so merciful upon all conditioned souls. I think that your real benediction will be to allow me to associate with such devotees. So see, even Lord Shiva says, actually, when you take association of a pure devotee, you can understand what is real goal and what is secondary goal. So he says, if I take even a fraction of association of a pure devotee of yours, I can really see the great benefits of devotional service, because they will help me to cross over this ocean of birth and death. And at that time, I can realize that these secondary effects, like just having some material benedictions or other things, are really invaluable. They are not the primary goal of a person. So like this, Lord Shiva, he asks only for the association of devotees. So rather than personal liberation or royal power or any other kinds of material successes, Lord Shiva would just prefer to have a moment's association of a devotee, and he can go towards the highest goal of life. So this Ganges water, it is celebrated as being able to eradicate all sorts of reactions. Like people say, when you go and dip yourself in the water of the Ganges, all the sins can be removed. But this Ganges water, it emanates from the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So therefore you can imagine when you take association of a devotee who's directly in touch with the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, who's always absorbed in chanting the glories of the Lord, who's already free from all contamination, how much purification we can attain. See, you see this river Yamuna, it is also considered very, very sacred. Why is it considered very sacred? It is considered very sacred because the gopis would go and they would dip their bodies in this river Yamuna. So therefore, they would go there and they would collect water from this. They would play with Krishna in the waters of the river Yamuna. Therefore, Yamuna becomes so purified. It is considered so pure. So Lord Shiva, he wants to take two baths. One is internally and one is externally. So internally, he wants to take bath in the river Yamuna, which is a flowing river where the devotees of the Lord, they go and they take bath and therefore purify the waters of Yamuna. So like this, all the devotees, they yearn for taking association of pure devotees, because it is by the mercy of the pure devotees that one's heart can really, really be purified. And Lord Shiva also confirms this again and again. Now we see in the 5th canto, where we have the story of Jada Bharat, the story of Bharat Maharaj, who went through 3 lives. He is a classic example of a person who really didn't have proper association in his birth as a king. He unnecessarily developed a lot of attachment towards a deer. He did not have proper association during his last days. And then unfortunately, he had to take the birth of a deer. And then later, when he came as Jada Bharat, he could really understand the topmost value of devotee association. And he spoke some beautiful verses to King Rahugana. So there are some beautiful verses that are quoted by Sanatana Goswami by Jada Bharat while he was talking to Rahugana from Canto 5, Chapter 12, verses 12 and 13. So these are very fantastic verses, and read those verses. Jada Bharat told Maharaj Rahugana, he told, my dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, by strictly following the rules and regulations of a householder life, by leaving home and taking vanaprashta, or by accepting sannyas. Just because you accept a particular varna or ashram, it doesn't mean that you have become very advanced. You can maybe you could undergo severe penances in winter by keeping yourself submerged in water, or in summer by being surrounded by fire, or in the scorching heat of the sun. All these processes are there, but absolute truth is revealed only to a person who has attained mercy of a great devotee. Unless one attains the mercy of a great devotee, one cannot get anywhere. And who are the pure devotees who are mentioned there, mentioned here when Jadabharata is talking? And what help do they really do? It is explained that in an assembly of pure devotees, there is no question of discussing subject matters like politics and sociology. So pure devotees are the ones who discuss only about the qualities, forms, and pastimes of the personality of Godhead. They are always thinking about the Lord and they are worshipping the Lord with full attention. So these kind of pure devotees we are supposed to take association from. And what sort of association should we take from them? We should be able to constantly hear such topics respectfully. So when we say we are taking association of devotees, we are taking association of devotees. It's not that you just sit around devotees and you're talking something very mundane. Rather, when we take association of devotees, we should choose the association of devotees who are constantly glorifying the Lord, who are constantly talking Krishna Katha, and that is what we want to listen from them. We do not want to listen from them about politics or sociology or something else. So like that, he explains that we want to go and hear very nice topics about the Supreme Lord. We want to hear very respectfully from them, because these are the people who are merged in thoughts about the supreme truth, and they are so attached to Lord Vasudeva. So therefore, when we hear from their lotus mouth, we also become attached to the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva. And Jadabharat, he very clearly, he said that the absolute truth is actually described in three features. He's described as Bhagavan, he's described as Brahman, and he's also described as the Paramatma. But then this Bhagavan feature is the most complete realization of the absolute truth, because he is Vasudeva. He is the darling son of Vasudeva. So like that, he talks about the absolute truth, and he says that the complete realization of the absolute truth is the Supreme Lord in his personal form. So one must hear about the activities of the Supreme Lord in his personal form so that one can develop some love for him. So advancement is possible only when devotees, they take association of these exalted devotees and they bathe in the dust from the feet of these pure Vaishnavas. So it is simply not enough if one follows the regulative rules of Varna and Ashram and they just try to concentrate their mind and tapas, or they're just executing Vedic sacrifices, or they're distributing food and charity, or working very piously as a householder, or even if they are studying Vedas non-stop, or even if they are performing fire sacrifices, or they are worshipping several demigods. All these efforts are completely useless unless one develops attachment to the lotus feet of devotees who are fixed in the thoughts of Lord Vasudeva. And by satisfying such devotees, one can surely attain the mercy of the Supreme Lord, even if he has not performed several purifying acts. So like that, Jadabharata, he talks in great detail to Maharaj Rahugana about the importance of taking association of a pure devotee. Lord Krishna, he's known as Uttama Shloka, meaning he's being glorified by the choicest words by all great devotees. And his spotless fame, it just drives away all ignorance. So therefore, one who has bathed in the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees of the Lord, one who enters the company of the devotees of the Lord, they will be able to hear about Uttama Shloka, they will be able to hear about pure Krishna Katha that will raise them from a platform of materialism to the platform of pure devotional service. So like this, Jadabharat, he continued to talk about the importance of devotee association. And later, when Rahugana heard such wonderful glorification of devotee association, Rahugana, he replied to Jadabharata again in the 13th chapter, which was the very next chapter. He said, with a lot of realization, after taking association from Jadabharat, Rahugana's heart was so melted that his entire life was transformed. And he told Jadabharata, this birth as a human being on earth is actually the best of all. Even birth among demigods and heavenly planets is not considered very, very glorious. What is the use of having a birth like an exalted demigod? Even in the heavenly planets, because of profuse material comforts, there is actually lack of association of pure devotees. But whereas human life, it is so nice. It is the most congenial place to take association from great devotees and develop Bhagavad Bhakti. Demigod life, it may be desirable for foolish people, but then for devotees, in the material world, in the earthly planet, actually, they are very, very fortunate because they are taking association of saintly people who are walking the earth. So like this, Rahugana, he thanks Jada Bharat for coming in his way and giving him transcendental knowledge. Again, we see in the story of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj offers very, very beautiful prayers, and he also expresses his desires in the 7th canto in various ways. Prahlad Maharaj in Canto 7, Chapter 5, verse 32, he says, unless people who are very much inclined towards materialistic life smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava who's completely freed from material contamination, such persons cannot become attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, one can really be freed from all material contamination. And just before Prahlad made the statement, he expressed his concern for all the ignorant materialists in the world. Because these ignorant materialists, they cannot recognize what is the best goal for them. They cannot understand that actually everyone should be focused in the real interest, which is service to the Supreme Lord. So gross materialists, they bathe in the foot dust, of all the wrong things. But if they bathe in the foot dust of Vaishnavas, they can reject all sorts of selfish enjoyment and they can develop Bhagavad Bhakti. Otherwise, these gross materialists, they can never shift their focus towards devotional service. Without mercy of devotees, foolish people, they cannot really ascertain what is the spiritual truth, even theoretically, what to speak of reaping tangible benefits. So only if a devotee can give his causeless mercy, can a person who is completely engrossed in material life come out of it. It is very hard to come out of it by one's own endeavor. One needs the help of a spiritual master. One needs the help of an association of a pure devotee, and one needs to take the dust, meaning one should become very humble and listen to that devotee to actually cross over this horrible material ocean. Again, in the 10th canto, we have the words of King Muchukunda. Muchukunda's story is very interesting. That is described in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Muchukunda, he says in Canto 10, Chapter 51, verse number 53, he says, when the material life of a wandering soul has ceased, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. And when he associates with them, then he awakens devotion unto you. You are the goal of the devotees and the Lord of all causes and their effects. So basically, unless one comes to this point, one may be doing so many things. One may be having several endeavors to somehow cross over this ocean of material birth and death. They may be doing multiple things, but really, what is the climax? You see in the story of Gopakumar, the story of Sarupa and the Brahmana also, you see that the climax was that, yes, Sarupa went through several experiences. He traveled from one place to the other, and then he came and he heard instructions from Sarupa. But when was really Prema awakened? When the Sarupa placed his hand on the Brahmana. So that is the climax. That is the climax. When a devotee decides to give you his unconditional mercy, that is when really Prema is awakened. So these are several opinions that are expressed in Srimad Bhagavatam by different devotees. Several devotees have given their verdict. But then in the Bhagavatam, we also see that Sri Krishna himself, he himself confirms this in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see in the 11th canto, chapter 26, verses 31 to 34, Krishna says, very nice, very lovely verses these are. He says, just as cold, fear and darkness are eradicated for one who has approached the sacrificial fire, so dullness, fear and ignorance are destroyed for one who's engaged in serving the devotees of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord, peacefully fixed in absolute knowledge, are the ultimate shelter for those who are repeatedly rising and falling within the fearful ocean of materialistic life. Such devotees are like a strong boat that comes to rescue persons who are in the point of drowning. That is pretty much what it is. We are all in the verge of drowning, but a strong boat, when a spiritual master who's like a strong boat comes in the middle of the ocean and we can take shelter of that strong boat, that is when we are practically saved from drowning. So just as food is the life of all creatures, Krishna says, just as I am the ultimate shelter for all the distress, and just as religion is the wealth of those who are passing away from this world, so my devotees are the only refuge for people who are fearful of falling into a miserable condition of life. Krishna says, my devotees bestow divine eyes, Divya Chakshu, they give Divya Chakshu, whereas the sun, it is giving only external sight. So in the presence of the sun, everything becomes visible to our naked eyes. But in the presence of devotees, the Divya Chakshu becomes open. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Right? So unless the Guru is there, the divine eyes never gets opened. It's always closed. Only our physical eyes are open. So that sun is able to give us the normal vision, the physical vision. But then the devotees, they bestow divine eyes. My devotees are once real worshipable deities in real, they are the real family. They are one's own self, and ultimately they are non-different from me. This is what Krishna says. And then Krishna says, rather than, it's very, very difficult. Krishna even says that it's very difficult to enumerate the qualities of all the great Vaishnavas. It is like an ocean. It is an impossible task. But even a moment's association of such a pure devotee can take you across this terrible ocean of material existence. So one devotee is equal to all the saintly qualities of all the demigods combined. So the devotees have all good qualities in them. So pure devotees are indeed our real friends, and they are equal to our own life and soul, and they are the source of our life. And in fact, Krishna's very opinion is that these devotees are non-different from me. Why does he say that? They are non-different from me in the sense that they are the real well-wishers. Their desires are the same. The pure devotees, they know what Krishna's desire is, and they are working according to Krishna's desire, and they are able to lift every single conditioned soul who comes in their contact and give them pure devotional service. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, chapter 11, verse number 49, Krishna tells Uddhava, very, very nice. He says, now I will tell you something very confidential, especially because you are my servant, well-wisher and companion. My dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under one's control. One may perform Ashtanga Yoga system. One may engage in philosophical analysis of material nature. One may practice non-violence and other ordinary principles of piety. One may chant the Vedas. One may perform penances and take to renounced order of life. One may execute sacrificial performances. He may dig wells, plant trees, and perform other public welfare activities. One may give out charity, carry out severe vows, worship the demigods, chant confidential mantras, visit holy places, accept major and minor disciplinary injunctions. But even by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. So only by associating with devotees, one can bring me under his control. So, and also again and again, it has been quoted here that one must take association of a pure devotee. It is only the company of exalted Vaishnavas that actually counteracts, and not association of any saintly person. See, that is another point that is being mentioned here. You may take the association of certain Brahmavadis or Mayavadis, or you may take association of a very pious person, but is that going to elevate you? Is that going to give you Bhagavad Bhakti? No, no, it cannot. only when one takes association of a pure devotee of the Lord, whose mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, only then can one attain pure devotional service and one can cross over this material ocean of existence. So in the company of exalted Vaishnavas, one can counteract all material attachment, and also they can develop pure attachment to the Supreme Lord's pastimes in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha, in Goloka Vrindavan, one can develop some sort of attachment to the pastimes that he is performing. So when one develops contact with Vaishnavas by hearing descriptions of the Lord from their lotus mouth, one can achieve great success. Now, it is not that one must just hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord and achieve great success, but actually Krishna also tells in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when one hears the pastimes of the Vaishnavas, not just the Supreme Lord, but when one is accustomed to hear the different pastimes of the different Vaishnavas, one's purification doubles. One becomes much more fixed in devotional service, because we can see by example. We can, just listening to the pastimes of the Lord alone is not sufficient. One must hear about the pastimes of great devotees. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam is a very unique scripture. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam is just not glorification about Krishna. All the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the glorification of all the great devotees, because the more we meditate on the qualities and the life of such great devotees, the more we become purified. So we are literally taking their association through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the more we hear about the qualities of Ambarish Maharaj, the more we hear about the qualities of Vritrasura, the more we hear about the qualities of Prahalad Maharaja, the more we hear about the qualities of Vidura. Like that, when we hear about these great devotees like Dhruva Maharaj, when we hear about the qualities of Prithu Maharaj, when we hear about the qualities of so many other devotees of Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Rama, Lord Sri Varaha, Narasimha, when we hear about them, when we hear about the qualities of these great devotees, we see an example in front of our eyes, and we are able to develop those qualities. So that is also that is also devotee association. When we hear about them, that is also one sort of devotee association. So like this, in a person's life, complete success is not guaranteed until he comes in contact with the Supreme Lord's devotees, either by hearing about their qualities and pastimes, or by physically taking their association, or at least hearing from them, giving our ears to their Vani. Until we do all this, we cannot really come to the point of perfection. Again, if we see in the 11th canto, chapter 13, verse 30, Lord Hamsa, who is an incarnation of Lord of the Supreme Lord, he says, according to my instructions, one should fix the mind on me alone. If, however, one continues to see any different values and goals in life, rather than seeing everything in me, then although apparently awake, one is actually dreaming due to incomplete knowledge, just as one may dream that one has awakened from a dream. So I thought that was very nice. Lord Hamsa was telling that actually you're still in a state of dream if you haven't come into a contact of a devotee and understood that the ultimate goal of life is not anything else other than devotional service. Krishna himself says, I am completely under the control of my devotees, and indeed I am not at all independent, because my devotees are completely devoid of all material desires. I sit only within the course of the hearts of these devotees. What to speak of the devotees? Even the devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. These are some classic verses of Krishna speaking, talking to Durvasa Muni when he had offended Ambarish Maharaj. These are very beautiful verses. Krishna says, I live in the core of the heart of my devotee, and the devotee lives in me. And what to speak of my devotees? Even the devotees of my devotees are extremely dear to me. So in this age of Kali, human beings with very, very saintly qualities are very rare. They're hardly found. But however, Krishna says that if we if we are able to take even a fraction of a moment's association of a pure devotee by chance, immediately one can develop the understanding by which one can go to Krishna. So it is a rare thing to come across pure devotees, but we are all very, very fortunate in this time. Even in this age of Kali, we are also fortunate. We have the association of Srila Prabhupada's books. We have the association of pure devotees, like our Guru Vargas. So we are all very fortunate. Even a fraction of association of such pure devotees can go a long way. So again, Kapila, he gives, there is a beautiful example given from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Kapila Dev, after instructing his mother at great length about several varieties of progressive discipline, advised her that of all sadhanas, the recitation of the pastimes of the Lord is the most important. Devotional service is also an expression of pure joy. Just by taking part in this bhakti, honoring Supreme Lord's Mahaprasad, dancing, singing, and performing many other services for his pleasure, all the saintly devotees, they untie the knots of material bondage and they remove the false ego from their hearts. All this should be done in the association of pure devotees. Now, impersonalist sannyasis, they may be able to subdue their senses, but then they cannot untie the knots of karma bandhana even in their own hearts. What to talk about untying the knots in other people's hearts? So therefore, it is very important to take association of pure devotees who are capable of untying this karma bandhan from their hearts and also from everyone else's heart. So devotees who take full shelter of Lord Vishnu's feet, they are completely elevated. They are much more advanced than all these ordinary sages and sannyasis. And therefore, one must consciously take shelter of such great Vaishnavas, because these Vaishnavas, they are completely surrendered to the Lord in all respects, and they do not consider themselves to be the independent doers. So when we take shelter of the lotus feet of such people who are completely surrendered to the Lord and who understand that they are not independent in any way, when we take shelter of such people, that is when we are actually benefited. That is when actually the knots that is there in our hearts are completely removed. If we are taking shelter of the wrong people, then definitely we are not being benefited. So we should know whom to choose, meaning we should see the person. That's why Prabhupada, he often says, who is a guru? A guru is a person who's brahmanishtam, who's tadvijnanartam. So guru meva abhigachet. When he says that, he says, who's a guru? Where shall I go to find such a guru? You should go to a guru who's brahmanishtam, who's really understood who Krishna is, who's always thinking about Krishna. Go to such a devotee, and such a devotee, just a fraction of a moment of association of such a devotee can actually elevate you and take you a long way in devotional service. So like this, so many verses were quoted by Srila Sanatana Goswami to just explain this one point of Sarupa touching with his hand the head of the Mathura Brahmana. So before meeting Sarupa, the Brahmana from Mathura, he was ignorant of the glories of the Supreme Lord's devotional service. But then by the company of Sarupa, his saintly spiritual master, he at once became completely successful, and he could get the knowledge of all the, get the knowledge of everything. Because once you get the pure association of a pure devotee, all kinds of knowledge, all kinds of spiritual practices, everything becomes dawned on you. Because Vaishnava association is actually the most sublime secret. It is the best means of achieving spiritual perfection and achieving the highest goal of life. You may be a fool number one. You may not know everything in this world, but once you come in contact with a pure devotee, everything dawns on you automatically because of his mercy. He's going to dawn everything on you, on your head right there. So the Brahmana, he was very, very fortunate as Sarupa touched his head, and the Brahmana, he got submerged in an ocean of tastes of pure love, and his whole body was showing various symptoms of that pure love that he had developed. he took a blade of grass, he placed this blade of grass between his teeth, and he cried incessantly, and he caught hold of Sarupa's feet, lotus feet, who was, Sarupa was a spiritual master, so he caught hold of his spiritual master's lotus feet. And both at this point, both the disciple and the guru, they were immersed in transcendental happiness. They were just so submerged in transcendental happiness. And Sarupa started asking his spiritual, the Brahmana, he started asking his spiritual master, Sarupa, where is Krishna? I want to see him. I want to see Krishna. Where is my Krishna? And both of them got up in their ecstasy, and they started running. And this Brahmana was running into a grove, and he went and he fell inside a grove of thorny bushes. And then when this Brahmana, in his ecstasy, he ran and he fell into this grove of thorny bushes. Suddenly, from a distance, he heard some rich and sweet sounds of flutes, horns, mixed with the moving of cows and the sounds of venas that were made of different goats and whistles made of leaves. So this Brahmana, in his ecstasy, he got up, he started running, he fell into a bush, and suddenly he heard all sorts of pleasant voices, and he heard the mooing of cows, he heard the song of a flute, and he could hear all the cowherd boys making musical notes from instruments fashioned from goats and whistles fashioned from leaves. So when he heard all these noises that were coming, he was extremely happy, and he got awakened by the sound that was coming from that direction. And both the spiritual master Sarupa and our Mathura Brahmana, both of them were awakened from their transcendental swoon. And there, when they heard these sounds coming from the forest, they could see Gopaladev appear there with his dark, beautiful body, which was encircled by brilliant effulgence. The Lord was coming towards the water with all his animals. He wanted to come there to play with his friends in Yamuna. He was walking with the gait of an elephant. Krishna was accompanied by his friends, and all his friends, they were playing as they were walking. Some were playing a ball, some were imitating the forest creatures. And Krishna, he was so eager to come to river Yamuna to play with his boyfriends in water. And then he also wanted to meet with the gopis and take them across the lake in a boat. He was an ocean of beauty. All this, Sarupa and the Brahmana were watching. They had the vision of Krishna. They were seeing that this Lord, he was an ocean of beauty. He was an ocean of joy. And the joy in him was ever increasing. He was wearing a beautiful garland of forest flowers, and his ears were decorated with forest flowers. He was wearing a peacock feather. A string of pearls decorated his conch-like neck. His yellow silken garments were shining brilliantly. He had all the symptoms of a Mahapurusha. His chest was broad. He had the Srivatsa mark on his chest. His garland was looking very effulgent. It was decorated with gunja berries. His waist was slim like a lion. The goddess of fortune was worshipping his lotus feet. He was decorated with kadamba flowers. He had nipa flowered jewels. He was wearing all sorts of decorations around his waist like a belt. And there were tulsi leaves and berries that were decorating his chest and his lotus feet. All these ornaments were hung around all around his body. His arms were round and they were stout, and they were decorated with armlets and bracelets. His lotus hands were playfully playing the flute, and the flute was touching his red-colored bimba lips. His eyes were restless and the corners were reddish. His smile captivated the hearts of all the sages, and he had arched eyebrows that were dancing on his face. It was nourishing everyone's heart. The tip of his nose was looking like a sesame flower, and it was decorated with a fresh pearl that was born from the forehead of an elephant. It's called as Nasagre Gajamauktikam. So Krishna's tip of his nose is decorated with a large pearl, and this pearl is known to be born from the tumuli of an elephant, from the forehead of an elephant. So it is said that actually these pearls, how they are born, is being told in scripture. It says that during the Swati nakshatra is a constellation. So during Swati nakshatra, when there is a rain, if it rains during Swati nakshatra, those droplets of rain, when they enter the mouth of locust, it's a sea animal that creates the pearl. So when it enters the mouth of that animal, at that time a pearl is born within that animal, within that locust, and then the pearl is separated. So that's how pearls are born. But then scripture also talks of other pearls, like pearls are generated through the tumuli of an elephant under certain circumstances. So like that, there are different descriptions in scripture about how pearl is born in the world. This particular Gajamauktika, this elephant pearl, is used to decorate the tip of the nose of Krishna. So Krishna was looking very, very beautiful, and his broad forehead was decorated with a tilaka. His curly locks, they were looking like a swarm of bees. He was colored with minerals from the forest. Beautiful decorations were made on his forehead, on his cheeks, on his lotus feet, and different colored minerals were taken to make these decorations, like red Gairika and yellow Haritala. These are natural minerals that are found in the forest. And Krishna was walking with the gait of an elephant. Sometimes he was standing, sometimes he was walking. When he was standing, he would take this threefold bending form, holding the flute to his mouth and standing cross-legged. That looked very, very beautiful. Sometimes he would talk to his friends and make his friends laugh. And sometimes he would stand with his brother Balaram by putting his hand over Balaram's shoulder. And Balaram, who was standing by his side, looked very, very, very resplendent with a pure white complexion, wearing blue garments, and his beauty and age was comparable with Krishna. So like this, Krishna, Balaram, the cows, everybody, they were coming through this forest, going towards river Yamuna, and Sarupa and his disciple, the Mathura Brahmana, they got a vision of Krishna right there in Bhauma Vrindavan. They were seeing Krishna coming there, and when they saw Krishna actually giving darshan, coming with his cowherd friends towards river Yamuna, they fell flat. They were paying obeisances to Krishna, and they just couldn't even speak. Their voice was choked up. They were not even able to offer coherent prayers. So finally, our Brahmana, along with his spiritual master, by the mercy of his spiritual master Sarupa, got the darshan of Sri Krishna in Bhauma Vrindavan. Krishna gave his entry. So we will stop here, and then we are going to see what happened after that. What did Sarupa experience after that? Did he go and speak to Krishna? What are the other, not Sarupa, sorry, the Brahmana, because Sarupa already finished his story. So now it's the Brahmana story. So we are going to see what happened to the Mathura Brahman after this in our next session. So please forgive me for all the mistakes that I have done. And thank you so much for your kind attention. If anyone has any questions or comments or realizations, please feel free to share. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mathaji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class, and especially the last part I really liked. Of course, like the way you mentioned about the association of a pure devotee is the samam bonam, is everything in order to progress in our spiritual life. But also I really like the parts of the vision of Krishna that Sarupa and Brahmana saw. It was so meditative, you know, each and every limb of Krishna is so beautifully described by Sanatana Goswami. So, Mataji, I just have one question about the Nasagra, right? The pearl that decorates Krishna's, the front part of the nose, the tip of the nose. So you were telling that how the pearl is raised in that oyster. So But
Yeah,
how
nice to
about
hear.
elephant, right? How come the elephant is brought into the picture?
Yeah, so there are different ways of understanding this. I can tell you how a pearl is formed. It is formed in different places. Let me just open up that. Just give me a second. Meanwhile, I also want to tell that it is also to an extent a little poetic. Um, Sometimes this Gajamautika, it is also described as a big pearl, okay, an elephant-sized pearl. Sometimes it is also described as a pearl that is acquired from an elephant, okay, the mother of the elephant, right? You say mother, right? That it has a particular kind of, when it is very intoxicated, when the elephant is very intoxicated, there is a kind of a sweat that is produced from the middle of the forehead that creates a pearl.
Oh,
It's like that, yeah.
okay.
And I will tell you how a pearl is formed from elephant. I had saved this long time back, but I'll get it again. You said
Yeah, no
oyster,
worries.
right? Oyster. And yeah, there are other ways of getting pearl as well. There are 5. Yeah, I'm not getting it right now. Okay.
Yeah, no
But
worries, Mataji.
again,
Take your time.
the same thing is also sometimes described as from the elephant, from a hog, oyster, or like that. There are different places where pearls are generated. From a bamboo, there's a bamboo pearl as well. This is also very famous. It's called as the bamboo pearl. So basically, it's a jewel that is formed, and how it is formed, it just happens. It's formed. That's all. But it's very rare.
Yeah.
It's extremely rare. Yeah, extremely rare. The most common ones are the oyster pearls, and that too not even fresh. The seawater pearls are very, very rare. Meaning natural pearls, I don't even think they even find these days. In ancient times, it was all from the natural pearls that would be formed in the ocean during Swati Nakshatra, when that particular oyster drinks it and all that. But these days, we just have freshwater pearls that are cultured pearls, right? They are brought in and they are cultured, and it's all
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
artificial these days.
Yeah, of course. And today, of course, definitely everything is artificial.
Yes,
But,
yes.
thank you, Mataji. It was such a beautiful class, and really, it was a pure meditation on Krishna's form. It was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. And when you do DT decoration, yeah, I see you always put the pearl. And also the painting on Krishna's forehead
Yeah,
and the minerals and the tulasi leaves and also the gunja berries that is used to
yeah,
make the and the
Giriraj.
and also these flower decorations where they do the waist belt with flowers and very nice.
And how, it's written that the minerals are used, and today we are using just water paints.
Water paint.
Krishna.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very beautiful class. Hope everybody is unmuted. Can anybody talk and let me know that they are unmuted, please? I unmuted everybody.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mataji, for confirming.
Yeah, we are just trying to see the different ways of, that's why we are experimenting. So in case, someone got missed, please forgive us. We're just trying to make sure that the muting, unmuting is going well for everyone. That's why we are experimenting past 2 days. Thank you, Vinaya Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji, once again for beautiful class. Thank you for describing about Krishna's face color, Krishna's forehead decoration. I could see that you are feeling it. And thank you for talking about the natural things that are available.
I am cutting the jewelry that I am seeing on the picture of Krishna.
Oh, very good, Vrunda.
Yeah, it was very nice, Mataji. And then you are talking about Guru, who is can remove our, open our.
Thank you, Mathaji.
Thank you, Mataji. Very, very beautiful class. And also about devotee association, and also the birth, pious births in the higher planetary system is not going to be satisfied for us because it's all the material desires are still there. So that point also I really like. Very beautiful class, Mataji. So many points. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mathaji. All glories to Srila Sanatana Goswami. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for your class. I really appreciated it so much. I like that you gave so many quotes from the scriptures and that it just flowed like nectar, and I'm just so grateful.
Thank you, Mother Sacharya. Thank you so much for your association on the call. Very grateful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there anybody having any more questions for Mataji? Okay, Mataji. If there are no more questions or comments for Mataji.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Some people are not able to unmute. Still the problem is there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But Vrinda Mataji could unmute herself.
Yeah, I know.
To unmute Mataji.
I'm trying to unmute. Lalitangirada Mataji says I'm not able to unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
No. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very, very nice class. And, you took us again into the world of the Lord, and so many details and quotes from different places, stressing the importance of the association of devotees. Very beautiful, Mataji. Thank you so much. I think
Thank you so much for the association.
There are so many other people in the chat box. Even I typed in the box that they are telling that they can't unmute.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mataji, now I can unmute.
Now I clicked on another option, Mataji. Unmute all. Also check on that participants can unmute themselves. That one also I checked it. So maybe now people can unmute themselves.
Unmute. Okay, so we'll have to fix that and see. Thank you, Mataji, for letting us know.
Yeah.
I'd
So
like
just
to
want
ask
to see a pattern. Yeah.
I'd like
Thank
to
you,
ask a
Mataji.
question. I'd like to ask a question about chanting your Gayatri every day. Prabhupada said to chant the Gayatri morning, noon, and night. So do you have like a set pattern for chanting? Like you make the morning offering and you chant Gayatri, you make the lunch offering, you chant Gayatri, like that? Is that how you do it?
I am not second initiated. So if someone who's second initiated can answer this question, I would appreciate. I do not want to make a wrong statement. So can any one of you answer this question of Mother Sucharya's?
I'm sorry, Mataji, I got disconnected and came back. I didn't hear the question.
I was asking about saying the Gayatri mantra.
Uh-huh.
Prabhupada wrote actually that the Gayatris are like our mother, and the Vedas are our father, and also the spiritual masters our father. So when chanting Gayatri, I'm just wanting to chant my Gayatri at the same time every day, because Prabhupada said to chant morning, noon, and night. So I'm wondering if the Matajis and the Prabhus, if they make the breakfast offering and then chant Gayatri, make the lunch offering and then chant Gayatri, and then make the evening offering. Is that how you keep a regulated time for chanting the Gayatri mantra? Because it's so important.
Yeah, Mataji, I was also taught to do like that. So I'm doing like that while offering, and after offering, I would chant in the 3 times. Other Matajis in the call can also answer this, please.
Because sometimes we may not make the breakfast offering till like later in the morning, like maybe even 9 or 10 o'clock. So is it okay to chant the morning Gayatri then, or should we actually just try to do it at 6 or something?
Yeah, basically what I heard from another devotee was that they have this GCal app which says exactly what is the Sandhya time in the morning, afternoon, and the evening. That is the 45 minutes of the Sandhya time between during the dawn, dusk, and the midday. So some devotees they strictly chant at that time, and I've heard that that is good, keeping some alarm and chanting like that.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Um,
Mataji.
Yeah, Hare
Especially
Krishna, Mother.
where do they get
Hare-
the app? Where do they get, is it just an app on a phone or something? Or, and what's it called?
Hare Krishna, Mother Sucharya.
Krishna.
Thank you so much for your lovely association. We have been missing you for quite a few days now. Months, I should say.
Thank
But
you.
thank you again for joining us and giving a very valuable association. Yes, Lalitangi Mataji, as she was saying that, the second initiatives, they chant through this app GCal. But nowadays I'm seeing that this GCal app is no longer available,
Okay.
especially for the iPhones and all. But there is another app known as Drik Panchang and other, the daily that give you the different mahurtas. And in that way, there is different mahurtas being given that you can chant strictly those, as she was mentioning about the 45 minutes. So it's better to chant in those. And whether you were saying about, about the offering. So it's good if, if you are offering at that time, then definitely we can chant. But it's not mainly about the offering. It's really about sticking to the time of chanting Gayatri. And also,
Yeah.
I would say that it's so humble of you that you are asking these questions, maybe reminding all of us because you are Prabhupada disciple and you have been serving and chanting Gayatris for so many years. So definitely this question coming from you is for us, for our benefit. So thank you for, being there on call and blessing us and giving your association. I really appreciate
Thank you very much.
Hare
I'm very
Krishna.
inspired by all of you. Your enthusiasm is wonderful.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Is there any other japa classes throughout the day or in the afternoon? Like,
Preethi Vilasini, can you just share about that?
pardon me?
Actually, in the morning we have from 5:20. Actually, your time, since
You
you
could
are
not
in
unmute
Texas.
yourself?
Since you are from Texas, you can. It's from 4:20. From your
Okay.
side, 4 o'clock, 4 to 6, 6:30 we
Okay.
chant, and then we
That's
have
wonderful.
Bhagavatam class.
Yeah.
And then your time is 9 to 10 o'clock. Then also we chant. And
Okay.
then 10 o'clock is the CC class, and once in a week is the Brihad Bhagavatamrta class.
Once in a
And
week is
then
what?
Brihad Bhagavatamrta class that we did today.
Nice.
It's only
Nice.
once in a week. Otherwise, we have Chaitanya Charitamrita classes every
Very
day
nice.
from 10 to 11. And then, of course, these days, because it's a summer season, so there is a 2 to 5 is also going on this summer camp where kids are
I've
learning.
been listening into that. It was very, very inspiring. Very nice.
Yeah.
There was a boy yesterday, the other day, he was making smoothies, teaching how to make smoothies.
Yes.
Very
yes.
nice.
Thank
So
you.
practical and did it so well.
So our glories to these wonderful teachers. They are really, putting up their lot of efforts in training our spiritual warriors, the future spiritual warriors. So Mataji, please bless them with your
Always.
kind association.
Always.
Hare
Prabhupada's
Krishna.
blessings are there for everyone always. Prabhupada is so closely connected with each and every one of our devotees. Especially I noticed that these young people, most of them have never met Prabhupada, but they have this deep, deep attachment for Prabhupada and his mission. And it's just amazing.
Thank you.
Hi Krishna, Mother Sucharya. So nice to hear from you on the call. This
Hare
is Sita
Krishna.
Preethi here.
Oh, Sita Preethi, thank you. I wanted to ask, is there a way to access the morning Bhagavatam class? I missed it this morning, but
Yeah,
is there a way?
I'll send you the recording, Mataji. I'll send you the recording.
Okay, thank you.
Mataji is such a very enthusiastic devotee in Kalachanji temple. So she is really wonderful devotee. We are missing her in this COVID time. Hope it gets back to normal.
Yes,
Hi
yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I would like to tell about Ekadasi chanting also. We do every Ekadasi 64 rounds. That will also be sent in the group, Mataji. You are in the group. So this Tuesday we are going to chant 64 rounds, Mataji.
Wow,
So until
that's amazing.
Hare
That's amazing. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Now, if everyone was able to unmute, Tiffany Mataji sent a message.
Yeah, now we can unmute Mataji.
Everyone? Okay.
Actually, beginning when Vinita Mataji asked, I could unmute, but later again, I could not unmute. I don't know what happened.
Jyoti Mataji, can you unmute? I saw your message also.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Now I
Everyone
can.
Yeah, even Anjana Gopika Mataji's message, yes.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your beautiful class and conversation. It was so nice.
Thank you, Mataji.
All of your association, Mataji.
Thank you all.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi.
Yes, Mataji, I too had the problem of unmuting and now it's okay. So thank you so much for the wonderful class, Mataji. A couple of questions, is it okay?
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay, Mataji. Actually, I was not fortunate to attend so many of your classes. I just joined recently. So I don't need a very big explanation, Mataji. Just the point why Radharani asked Swarup to go and meet Madhura Brahmana. Just a point why she asked Swarupa to go and meet Madhura Brahmana.
Yes, Sanatan Goswami, he explains in the commentary that this Brahmana had traveled all the way from Pragjyotishpur, that is somewhere near Assam, to Mathura, which is in UP. He traveled all the way there, and he had gathered a lot of experience seeing different people and different devotees, and finally he came to this Keshi Ghat in Vrindavan, where he meets Sarupa and he hears instructions from Sarupa. So throughout, how did he start his journey from Pragjyotishpur was that he was actually a great devotee of goddess Uma Devi, which is goddess Parvati or Durga. And but goddess Durga was so compassionate because she could see that he had great potential, and she initially guided him to this path, in search to search. She gave him a little guidance for him so that he could start his spiritual search. He was blessed by her, and and that's how he started off. And then it was through her mercy that he was led through this entire journey, and he came here. Now, at this point in these verses, when he says that I was sent by Radhika, Sarupa says that I know you are her devotee, and that's the reason she sent me to you. And there in the commentary, Sanatan Goswami explains that we should understand that goddess Uma, who initiated this journey, is an expansion of Srimati Radharani. So because this Brahmana had this deep respect to goddess Kamakya Devi or Uma in Pragjyotishpur, and he had started off like that because she's an expansion of Srimati Radhika. Radhika herself intervened, and she sent the spiritual master Sarupa to meet him. So the explanation is given like that. So did that help?
Yes, Mataji, that answers the question because I had that question. So now, since Uma Devi is an expansion of Radharani, she already knows a devotee's mind. So she's an excellent guru. And the second question, Mataji, see, Parishit Maharaj says that after awakening the treasures of the pure knowledge, even though the Brahmana, he was a little bit not getting the pure love. But the moment that Swarupa kept his hand on the Madhura Brahmana, he received it. So, and we also know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for 10 days Rupa Goswami was with him and he got all the knowledge. So what is this touch of that, magic of the touch, Mataji? Though we get all the knowledge, so what role the touch plays? The, the Guru's touch or his Diksha, what does it do?
It awakens one's real identity. That is what happened to here in this Brahmana's case. He had gathered a lot of knowledge. Everything was fine. He had also heard from his spiritual master. But when he got that, he had not awakened prema. That is what
was awakened by the touch of the spiritual master or touch of this particular exalted devotee. So when we come in contact with a pure devotee, they say, right, the padadhuli, the water from the feet of the spiritual master, the dust, and what are the others, Mathaji? The third one is what? Water, the dust, and
Food remnants.
food
Bhakta
remnants.
Avashesh.
Yes, food remnants. So when we take this, there is a special mercy that is induced where one can awaken love of God. But this happens in several cases, and it happens if you are taking this from a pure devotee, it can become awakened. Special mercy, there's a circuit, special circuit that gives the mercy.
Thank you, Mathaji. So it awakens our true identity that as Jivatma, we should always be in prema with our God, Paramatma. So the touch or their embrace that awakens the identity. That answered that question to Mathaji. And finally, only one question, Mathaji. So when we say the prema, so in the bhakti, we say the fruit of bhakti is the prema, the Krishna prema. So as a beginner, my question is, in material life, we all experience prema with parents and with our family, husband and everybody. So is the same prema which we experience in material life, is it same in spiritual life? Is the God's prema or it is somewhat different? I want to, is there any difference in the prema we experience?
Yeah, prema is a big topic. This bhava, prema, rati, all of these, the symptoms that is manifested at that state, definitely not like what we experience here. It is a million times profound, very deep, and very ecstatic, and very hard to understand also. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami gets into great details about it. Like, for example, a classic example of a person who exhibited all that was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will read in the Antya Leela, you will read in many places Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's symptoms of ecstasy that he manifested in love of God. So definitely it is not like ordinary love. It is at a very different high level, and it is there are different states that are experienced, and each state different manifestations are seen. So it's a big, deep, oceanic topic by itself. But in short, the answer is that it is not like any ordinary love that you see here. So,
okay, Mataji, that's
like, for example, one example which you can visualize is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and fainted in front of the Jagannath deities in Puri, and how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was trying to see if he's breathing. He put a cotton wig and he was trying to see what had happened to him. So those are the states of ecstasies that they experience. That is just one example, a fraction of an example.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much for giving the answers, and you are so mercy to clarify all the doubts. And a very wonderful class, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Lakshmi Mataji. Thank you for your association and giving us your association on the call. It's always uplifting to interact with devotees. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vranda Mataji.
Thank you so much for a wonderful nectarian class. For me, I mean, I would divide it into two oceans of nectar. One was where you explained about the glorifications of pure devotees by giving, like, Sanatana Goswami himself has given a lot of references, right, in the book, whatever you explained. So wonderful, very, very wonderful. I have noted down few of them. And yeah, it is true, like devotee association, so important. Like Jada Bharata, he says, like, what is actually mean by taking devotee association. And Mataji, you made one statement, like when Vidura is glorifying his Shiksha Guru. What is that statement you made? Input and output something. I
heard it.
Yeah.
I heard it in today's class, morning class, and I repeated it.
Maybe I didn't hear it properly. Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, I don't know if I'm repeating it correctly, but it's always better to hear his recording. But it was something like this. Vaishnava, the association of a Vaishnava or doing Vaishnava Seva or taking, being in the company of a Vaishnava association is like the circuit. Like you have an input, you have an output, but the circuit, unless the circuit is there, input cannot transform into output, right? So that is the circuit. So you have knowledge and you have bhakti, right? So definitely we gather knowledge, etc. But you need that circuit in between to get the output of devotion. So I hope that is what exactly he said, but that's how I understood it. And I tried to repeat it.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's so nice. Devotee association explained in different languages, right? So
yes,
nice.
Yeah, you can take you can suit the analogy. Yes.
And it's so wonderful to know Krishna himself is glorifying pure devotees. Yeah. I have not reached 11th canto yet. I'm very far. But it's so nice to know and how devotees are like Divya Chakshu, even bigger than the sun. Yeah. And the other ocean was like your description about Krishna. Oh my God. So beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure everyone would have envisioned their own Krishna in their own heart. So beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mathaji, for this nectarian class. But Mathaji, what is the name of that Brahmana? Name is not there, given there. Mathura Brahmana.
Yeah, for now you keep it, but his name is there. It's going to come, but I won't tell now.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
It's not a big secret, but still I won't tell now. Okay. It'll come, Mathaji. Next class itself we'll tell the name.
Okay, sure. And I have one very small question related to the last class. Like you said, it is like in spiritual world, Krishna comes back and they again meet Krishna and Balaram from Mathura. So I was really happy to know that it's a happy ending in spiritual world, right? Yes. But again, it again goes back to the separation and again they meet. It goes on like that, right? But there is a happy ending that we can say, or we can.
Yeah. There's a happy ending.
Okay, that was really nice to know that. Okay, at least spiritual world has happy ending because. Yeah. Just wanted to clarify that, Mathaji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vrinda, Mathaji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mathaji. Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you. Vivek Prabhu.
Thank you, Mathaji, again for a really nice class. I think today is from morning it's been Srimad Bhagavatam, nectar flowing.
Oh yes, it was flowing.
Kind of you're kind of continuing where Prabhuji left off, giving the importance of having a higher authority beyond our false ego that I think it will stay in my mind for a long time. I remember, I just want to share a realization once. A disciple of a very senior disciple of Prabhupada, he was quoting in his lecture very emotionally that even great souls, whether they are there in this material world with us or they have left this world, we can still associate with great souls or pure devotees through their Vani. And that is so impactful for devotees that we can feel their presence right next to us. Yes. I actually was able to relate to it because in initial days, to be really frank, I used to feel so frustrated because I wouldn't get times to attend Bhakti Sangha calls in the morning because of office work and so many other things. But then I started listening to Prabhupada and then things changed dramatically. I mean, I did not expect that I'll become so attached to hearing, the process of hearing, but something happened and I could relate to when this Maharaj mentioned the exact same thing. He was feeling Prabhupada's presence and he was giving this talk in Vrindavan and he was telling we shouldn't feel that great souls leave us. And you exactly highlighted this point today from Sanatana Goswami's quotings from various instances in Bhagavatam, that through all these historical stories that we hear, even though those personalities are not within us, we feel their presence. That is what is actually Bhagavatam is giving us. And once we hear that from devotees' realizations, it becomes even more nectarian. That's what I instantly could feel, Mataji, from both your class and Prabhuji's class in the morning. That's the impact that at least has on neophytes like me. Hearing is so impactful. Even though you don't really get a chance. I asked this question once to ISKCON's brahmachari, that in ISKCON it's such a big organization. Even after Diksha, you don't get that kind of an association with your gurus or other brahmacharis. I feel sometimes I shouldn't say this. I feel so envious. How come some devotees get so much association, but sometimes I hanker so much. I mean, when you see the kirtans and how they're dancing, so forgetting everything in this world and dancing so nicely with their spiritual masters and their fellow devotees, I'll feel so bad. When will I get a chance like that? But then he said, as long as you follow whatever your spiritual master or your acharyas have said sincerely, that mercy will come to you, and that is what is keeping me going. But I always keep hankering more and more. I hear like how you quoted today, that association. I don't know when I will get, but it is still hankering. I just feel that just by hearing I'll be able to satisfy this hankering one day, but I don't know. Just want to share that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I think these are the thoughts that also go into my head. Very similar thoughts. Thank you so much for voicing them, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. It's always nice to hear when you speak. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mathaji. So some addition to what Vivek Prabhu was saying. Actually, I don't know anything about Sanatana Goswami. I'm just new. But due to Mathaji, Kirtidadasi Mataji's mercy, I got the Brihad Bhagavatam book and started reading. So while reading the book, I can get the feel that Sanatana Goswami is knowing that I'm reading the book. So, so what happens whenever I start reading the book, I get a little bit disciplined. I don't put my mind somewhere. I concentrate and read. I can feel that that through his words, we can know that we can feel Sanatana Goswami. And while reading each and every word, we know that this word was like created, or it was generated in his mind, and he's writing it. So that gives a very good feel that he is with us. So like Prabhuji said, the Gurujis, they're always with us in the words, through their vanis and the words. And also the same, when I listen to Srila Prabhupada's lectures, we used to write lectures and discuss. We can very well feel that Prabhupada is talking to us, directly is talking to us. So it's very true what Prabhuji was saying. We can really feel it. The Gurus are with us. Thank you so much for Prabhuji and also Mathaji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Lakshmi Mataji. Thank you for coming back and reiterating that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Okay. So if there are no other questions, comments, or realizations.
No. Thank you, Mathaji. Thank you so much.
Thanks to everyone. It was a very lively participation. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mathaji. I would like to offer obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas. Vancha
kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyavach patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namah. Koti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Acharya Shri Radha Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mathaji ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mathaji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.